All right, adding decimals. A friend of mine, Selma, her name's Selma, she asked for me to make a video on how to make adding decimals visually understandable instead of just following a bunch of rules. So let's get started. All right, so that was, okay, so here we go. 3.74 plus 2.8. Now, all right, we know we can do some rules. Line up the decimals and write it down, and if there's gaps, put in zeros. No, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to make sense of this without rules, and we're gonna get to the rules. We're going to get to that algorithm, but first let's make sense of it. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take, let's see, there we go. I'm going to take these numbers and I'm going to model them in a place value chart. So I'm going to kind of make my little place value chart right here. There we go. All right, good enough. All right, so now we're going to model these two numbers. We're going to model 3.74 and 2.8 into this place value chart. So first off, what are the place values? So I can see, based on what's going on over here, I've got ones, tens, and hundreds. I've got ones and tens. So that means my place value chart has to have ones. I said tens, I meant tenths, and hundredths. Ones, tens, tenths, and hundredths. All right. So now to model 3.74, what I'm going to do is 3.74 is going to look like this. 1, 2, 3. That's the 3. And then modeling 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then modeling the 4 for the 400ths. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we are. So that is 3.74. 3 and 74 hundredths. All right. But I'm going to call this 3.7 tenths and 4 hundredths. I have no problems calling this 3.74. All right. Because it's 7 tenths. It's 4 hundredths. All right. Now, let's model the 2.8. So we're going to model the 2.8. I'm going to do this in a different color just to be different. So here's my 2 and then 8. All right. So it doesn't really matter where I put it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there is my 2.8. All right. So 3.74 is in black, 374. And then 2.8 is 2 whole numbers and then 8 tenths. All right. And now the rule, the idea, the exchange rate in addition is anytime you've got 10 littles, that equals 1 big. That can be exchanged for 1 big. What I mean by that is, first off, let's combine. Addition means combine everything together. All right. So when I combine all my hundredths together, how many hundredths do I end up with? Well, I end up with just 4 hundredths because that's what I've got right there. Now, let's take a look at the tenths. Now, the tenths, remember, anytime you've got 10 littles, 10 in one column, you can exchange them for 1 in the next column over, the bigger side. All right, so check this out. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, it happens to be all in a single stack. So these 10 can be cashed in for 1 big. So these 10 littles can be cashed in for 1 big. And what am I left with? I am left with 5 in the tenths column. And then in the ones column, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's my answer, 6. And remember, there's our decimal. The decimal separates the whole numbers from the decimals. So my answer is 6.54. So what did that look like using the algorithm? Well, let's take a look at that. So 3.74. And then notice I had to put the 2 in the ones column. So the 2 goes with the 3's. And then the 8 is in the tenths column, so the 8 goes with the 7. Oops. 8 goes with the 7. So this is what the algorithm looked like. And what did we do? Did we have anything to add in the hundredths column? Nope. So we ended up with just 4 in the hundredths column. Now what happened in the tenths column? Well, we noticed that we had 7 tenths and 8 tenths, and when you add them together, you get 15 tenths. But these 10 tenths get cashed in. So we ended up with, and I'll do this in red, we ended up with 1 new value in the ones column, plus we had these 5 remaining. So there's our 15 down here. And so 7 tenths plus 8 tenths gave us 15 tenths, but 10 of them can be cashed in, leaving us with 5 left over. And then we can add the whole numbers. We have the 3 plus the 2 plus the new one. So 3 plus 2 plus the new one gives us 6. And because we are looking at our whole numbers and our decimals, we see that our decimal goes right here, 6.54. All right. So now let's do a slightly more challenging problem. All right. So 52.6 plus 1.86. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to begin with a place value chart. So I'm going to make my place value chart, and it's okay if it's all crooked and whatever. By the way, parents and teachers, I'm never going to give my students a place value chart that has already been filled in with the headers up at the top. Never, 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 never. I'm always, if I'm going to give them a place value chart, it's going to be blank. And the students are going to be the ones who have to fill in the place value chart. And here's why. I want students to be thinking about what kind of place value chart are they going to need. And in this case, well, they're going to need tens, ones, tenths. Here's ones and tenths and hundredths. So they actually, in this case, they're actually going to need 4 columns for their place value chart. So we're going to have to do 4 columns. So let's do that again. So there, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's what they're going to need. All right, oopsies, let's kind of fix that a little bit there. There we go. All right, so now let's write in our labels. So what do we have? We have tens, we have ones, then we have tenths, then we have hundredths. All right, that's what we're going to need. Why are we going to need that? Well, because we've got to model 52.6. So 52 means we're going to have 5 in the tens column, 2 in the ones column, and 6 in the tenths column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. So there is our 52.6. Now we're going to model our 1.86. So let's do that. So 1.86, oh, let's do it in blue, is going to be 1 right here, and then 8 tenths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's our 8 tenths. And then we have 6 hundredths. So our 6 hundredths is going to be way over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I guess. All right, there we go. So now we've modeled our 52.6 and we've modeled our 1.86. Now let's kind of do the algorithm at the same time. So 52.6, and then how did we model our dots? Well, this 1 is in the ones column with the 2. All right, so that 1 has to go directly underneath the 2 because they're in the same column. So these 8 is going to go with these 6. So that 8 goes here, and that 6 goes right there. And so there is our correctly modeled problem, 52.6 plus 1.86. All right, now let's combine them. Addition means combine, so let's combine them. So nothing to combine over here, so let's just do it in, let's do it in red. So our answer is just 6/100. So let's write that down over here in the algorithm. There it is, 6. All right, so now let's take a look at the tenths. So we have 6 here, we have 8 here, 6 here, 8 here, and that gives us 14. That gives us 14 tenths. But we know that anytime you have 10, that could be cashed in for one big. 10 littles gives you one big. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so these 10 littles gives us one big right there. Those 10 littles gives us one big. So what does that look like over here? Well, 6 plus 8 is 14, which can be cashed in for one big plus the 4 littles left over. 14 gives us one big plus 4 left over, and we see that right there. All right, now let's combine our ones. We have the 2 plus the 1 plus the new one, 2 plus the 1 plus the new one, and that gives us 4. So I'm gonna, oops, I forgot the 4 over there. So that gives us 4 right here. And then let's take a look at the tens column. Well, the tens column, we have 5 up here and nothing down here. So over here, it just means we have 5 in the tens column. And so where does our decimal go? Our decimal separates the whole numbers from the decimals. And so our answer is 54.46. So that's where we are doing the visual representation and the algorithm at the exact same time. Let's do one last one. I'm going to make this one super fast. 6 plus 17.8. All right, so let's make our place value chart. And this time I only need 3 columns. And so let's go, and what do we need? Well, we need tens, we need ones, and we need tenths. All right, and how is that? Well, it's because to model the 6, that's 6 ones. That's 6 whole numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To model the 17.8, well, that means, and I'll do it in blue, that means we're going to have 1 10, 7 ones, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we're going to need 8 tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there is our 17. So 10 plus 7 is 17 plus the 8 tenths, and then here's our 6 whole numbers. Right, so let's line that up. Let's stack that up as a standard algorithm over here. So we've got our 6, and that's this right here. So this 1 is in the tens place. This 7 goes with the 6. So that's going to go right here, and then there's our 8. So that's what it's going to look like if you were to stack it up. And how many tenths do we have? Well, we just have 8. We just have 8 tenths. So we're going to write that in both places, in the visual representation and in the algorithm. All right, now let's take a look. How many ones do we have? Well, 6 plus 7 is 13. So that's going to give us 1 big and 3 left over. So that's going to give us 1 big and 3 left over. What does that look like over here? Well, we just need to count 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these 10 can be cashed in for 1 big. All right, so there it is. There's our new one right here. And here's the 3 that are left over. We have 1 plus 1 is 2. Oops, I need to put my 3 right there. And then I have 1 plus 1 is 2. where does our place decimal go? Well, the decimal separates the whole numbers from the decimal. So our decimal goes here, our decimal goes here, and that's our 2 right there. And that's combining this idea of the visual representation and the algorithm, the official algorithm over there, all right? And that wraps up adding decimals from a visual point of view using those dots and connecting it to the algorithm.